All right, welcome to Project Next Generation Online. My name is Aaron Sievers. I'm the technology librarian at the Elmwood Park Public Library, and today we are coming to you with the continuation of our Glowforge class. So we are down here by the Glowforge. We're checking things out and gonna make some more. Gonna make some more stuff with the Glowforge. So what are we making? Well, if you tuned in last time, you'll remember that we were working on a drawer divider. So here I have a drawer, a kitchen drawer from my kitchen with a cardboard drawer divider in it right now. Nothing wrong with it. It's a very nice piece of cardboard. It fits pretty well, does the job, but it does kind of wiggle around a little bit. It's not perfect, and so in the age of laser cutters, we should make something. We have the ability to make something better. So if you followed along with us last week, you'll remember that we actually did make a drawer divider. We kind of have we have the basic shape down. It fits in the drawer pretty well. There's a little bit of wiggle. You can hear that as it wiggles back and forth, and it definitely needs some kind of a cross brace to prevent it from just falling over like that. So we are learning how to make stuff on the Glowforge using primarily Inkscape. So Inkscape is a really cool, really powerful program. It's open source, so that means it's free for everybody. It's available on just about everything, Windows, Mac, and Linux. And you use Inkscape to make vector graphics. So vector graphics are cool because they resize really well. So if you're trying to make something tiny or trying to make something huge, they resize to fit whatever application you're whatever kind of thing you're trying to apply them to. And they operate using a little bit different than something like a JPEG or a traditional image file. They operate using paths. So if you have like a square, you have a path that is the four sides and corners, vertices, all that kind of stuff. And what that translates into for things like the Glowforge here is really easy instructions on how to cut stuff in 2 dimensions, right? So that's what we're kind of messing with Inkscape in order to use the Glowforge. Using the Glowforge itself is actually really, really easy. It'll cut basically whatever you give it. So you want to make sure that the files that you're giving it are perfect. And to get that kind of perfection, we use Inkscape. So, looking at our drawer, we have some more work that we need to do. We cut this piece out of just some simple draft board. So here's a sheet of draft board. We've got some old designs. You can go back and see our ornament that we made back in over the holidays. One thing I love about the Glowforge is it lets you use kind of one sheet. You can just keep cutting things out of that one sheet. So that's what we did today. Also learning some things about just kind of Inkscape and Glowforge, because originally I had this little piece and I thought the Glowforge maybe messed up when it cut this out, but I think that is actually, well, we'll get into it when we get into Inkscape, but I think I figured out why that's happened, and we'll try to prevent it. So one thing, embarrassingly, I forgot to save my document. I mean, technically I did save it up here in the corner. It is the rectangle that we made. I can open this in Inkscape, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and start over. It's probably just simpler to go ahead and start over, which is fine, because I think I could still edit this and maybe do some stuff with it. But between last time and today, I have learned some things about Inkscape. I am always learning, but I've picked up a few more tips. So I think it would actually be better just to start fresh. So I've got my tablet here that I was using for a notebook, basically just running down what we're going to be trying to do. So we can take a look at that real quick. We are essentially, here's our drawer, and I was mostly using the notebook to write down measurements because that's probably the most important part. So we've been taking measurements and trying to make sure that everything is very precise. And so one of the things that I wrote down was this kerf. Oops, pick a pencil. So it was this kerf number, which we measured as uh, 0.26, right? So I think right off the bat we can just ignore that because I don't think that was a kerf. A laser shouldn't have a kerf. If I'm getting too far ahead, kerf is a woodworking term. When you're cutting a material, kerf is the thickness of the blade. So if you're using a big, heavy, thick saw, you have to take that thickness of that blade into effect because it's going to affect your measurements. So if you've got a 10-foot board and you want to cut it into 5-foot pieces and you have a saw blade that has like a quarter of an inch, maybe a chainsaw, quarter of an inch thickness to it, then the pieces, you're not going to get two 5-foot pieces. You're going to get two like 4 and a little extra pieces. So, but with the laser, that really shouldn't be as big of a factor, and I think I figured out what's going on with that. We'll put that theory to a test in a few minutes. Let's get back into Inkscape. So right off the bat, I want to, well, I'll give a shout out to the YouTube tutorials that help me kind of learn how Inkscape works, because if you're into this, I will point you towards them to get even more information. But first thing we're going to do is just go to Document Properties, right? So we're going to change from millimeters to inches as our default unit of measurement. Nothing wrong with millimeters, but all the measurements that we've already taken have been in inches. So I'd like to just like I said last time, there's nothing wrong with either measurement system. Just gotta keep it consistent. And then lastly, I wanted to measure the size of this board. Not that it really matters, but I'd like for the size of a piece of this draft board to be the size of our canvas. And I can't remember how big these are. So let's grab the old tape measure and we'll just figure it out right here on the spot. So I think it's, see, I'm glad I measured because I thought it was 22. It's 20 and a half by 12. So here in the, in the size, we're going to change this to, that's the right input. Okay. We're going to change this to inches, and we're going to change the width to 20.5, and we're going to change the height to, oh shoot, what did we say it was? I don't even remember now. It was 12 inches. So there you go. 12 inches. Okay. And so now our canvas on the screen should match that. And as we do anything that requires measurements, they will be in inches first. So that's a great place to start. When you're starting off in Inkscape, go to File, go to Document Properties, set what you want that to be in the beginning, if you care. I mean, if it matters. All right. So let's make some rectangles. Where'd my notebook go? We've got our measurements. So we have determined that the width of our drawer is 10 inches, like almost exactly. So it's a very good idea to start with a rectangle that is 10 inches. And so what we can actually do here is we can just go in here, and we drew a rectangle, but I wasn't really paying attention to its size. Not important when you can just go in here and edit the width to 10. And then the height, what did we want the height to be? I think we had it set at, the actual height of the drawer is 2.987 inches high. And I don't want it to necessarily go all the way up flush with the top. So I would say let's just call it a day at 2.9. So for the height, and change that to 2.9. All right, so this is basically my rectangle. And so that's looking good. Um, Now, a couple of things that I can do here are I can, if I wanted to make this a color or something like that, uh, basically you click on your rectangle with the, what do they call this tool? The select tool. Uh, Click on it to highlight it, and then down here in the corner of the screen you can click on the color where it says fill and stroke. Now you might remember some of these terms from when we were doing Photoshop classes, but fill would be if you wanted it to be a solid color. So you can do that from this tab right here. You just give it a color, make it whatever color you want. I actually don't want a fill, so I'm gonna keep that blank. And stroke is really just for me to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm happy with a black stroke of, but you could make it red or, you know, a color that sticks out. Doesn't matter. You probably want your opacity and your alpha to be all the way up, but let's see. And then the stroke style over here. Now here is where I would like, I got this tip from the YouTube video I'll tell you about later, but changing this to just be 1 pixel is a great idea. So that just makes it nice and thin, but still visible. And then these options as default are pretty much good to go, so I'm not going to mess with those too much. So now I've got, like, if you go back and watch the last episode, you know this part took me like God knows how long. So we just redid it in, I don't know, less than 5 minutes. Okay, so that's great. We're ahead of the game. But now comes the next part where, let's switch back over here to my notebook, where we need to do, we want to put in a notch. We want to put a notch in the bottom corners of the drawer divider that will be wide enough to fit a cross brace so that the drawer divider doesn't fall over like it did, like I showed you a few minutes ago. So we need to put in a little notch that is 0.75 inches high, and the width is 0.166 inches. Now I'm going to double check that because you know what they say, measure, what do they say? Measure twice, cut once. That's what they say. So what I'm going to do, now you want to talk about measurements, I've got the ultimate tool right here. This is, my friends, a digital caliper, which honestly, it looks cool and it sounds, it is cool, but it's not, it costs like maybe $20–25. But basically, it lets you measure things, all kinds of things, from all kinds of different angles. So let's turn this thing on. Oh, it is on. Okay, so you can open this up, and whatever degree you open it to, you get a readout on the screen of where you're at. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the width of some of this draft board, and that's what we want to measure. So we're just going to put this right in here, clamp it down tight, and I've got, I don't know if that shows up, I've got 0.136 as my width. So that's 0.136. Just keep saying that over and over again, 0.136. So I believe I rounded that up to 0. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on. So I rounded that up to 0.14. And then when we were under the impression that there was some kind of a kerf to be aware of, we decided to throw in a 0.026. I would love to try this without the kerf. If it becomes a problem after we get it out of the Glowforge, then we'll go back and we'll fix it. But I think I was mistaken last time. So we are just going to keep it at 0.14. So we need a notch in our in the corner of our my brain in the corner of our drawer divider. We need a notch that is 0.75 inches high and 0.14 inches wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new rectangle, and that's what we're going to set it as. So for the width it will be 0.14. So that's pretty skinny. And for the height, it will be 0.75. Right? So that's a pretty small notch. And then we're going to take that and just put it right here in the corner. And Inkscape is nice enough to kind of snap that right in place. I didn't really even have to try too hard. Now I'm also, since we need two notches, I'm going to copy and paste. So that is Control C. Well, here, I'll do it on screen. I'm just going to go up here and hit copy, and I'm going to paste an exact duplicate, and I'm going to bring that down over here. All right, so I've got them in place. Now what do? Well, now we're going to select everything, and you'll remember I was a little confused about how to do this last time, and I figured it out. All we have to do, it's actually really simple. All we have to do is go to Path and then click Difference. And, oh, it worked on one side, but it didn't work on the other side. Okay, maybe we need to do them one at a time. So let's click, we'll select this one, and we'll select the big rectangle, Path, and Difference. And then we'll select this one, and we'll select the big rectangle, and we'll do Path and Difference. All right, so there you have it. Basically the entire last class, over an hour, summed up in like 15 minutes, right? Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is we want to create a cross brace. And so nothing too fancy. I've never really done this before, so the first thing that I came up with was to do basically a triangle, and then we'll cut and notch out of the top of the triangle, and that is where the drawer divider will slide down into, basically like that. So what are the measurements that we need for that? Well, we need the thickness of the draft board, which we already measured for as 0.14. So we can write that in there. The thickness, so that is side to side, as 0.14 inches. And then we also need to figure out what the height is. Basically, how deep do you want this to go? We also need to figure out how wide. And I say we need to figure it out because it doesn't actually matter. These are all... So the one that matters the most is the thickness, because that's going to determine how well the two kind of interlock with each other. But the rest is basically up to us. So so we can just make some choices here, and then if we like the way it turns out, then hooray. And if we're like, oh, this is actually a problem, then we'll have to rethink it. So right off the bat, I'm kind of thinking that for the cross brace, we probably want it to go up to about the middle of the piece of, about the middle of the drawer divider. And so the middle of the drawer divider, if we use our little caliper here, the drawer divider itself is about, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see any of that, but the drawer divider itself is about 2.8 inches high. So half of 2.8 would be 1.4. So what do you say we make, oh, my iPad is telling me it's time to take the dumpsters out. Thank you, iPad. We're going to put you on Do Not Disturb. So I think we should make the, I think we should make this 1.4 inches high. But we also have another decision of where does that 1.4 start? Does it start from here down to here? Or does it start from the tip of this triangle, which we're going to cut away, down to the bottom? Not sure about that. The other thing that we need to decide is how, so if the drawer divider is sitting, if you're looking at the drawer divider from the top down like this, how far out do you want that cross brace to go? In order to keep it from tipping over, it really doesn't need to go out that far. So, so we can just kind of guess. But I'm thinking if it's going to be 1.4 high, maybe it should be 2 wide. Whoop. So, you know, and like I said, we've never done this before. We don't really know exactly what we want or need, so we're just going to try some stuff, and if it works, awesome, and if it doesn't work, we'll back to the drawing board, as they say, and we'll figure it out. So let's go back into Inkscape and let's make some cross brace pieces. So I think what we're just going to do, instead of making a rectangle, which you could do this with the rectangle tool, but I found what's really cool is this polygon star tool. So when you first drop down this polygon tool, it lets you make a polygon, right? And then it also lets you decide how many corners are on your polygon. So a polygon with 3 corners would be a triangle. So let's drop that down to 3. Isn't that kind of cool though? You can make a lot of corners. All right. So now we have our triangle here. So we're just going to move this over, get it out of the way, and let's straighten it up. So when you first click on a shape like this, you get all these arrows around the edges that lets you kind of stretch it and pull it and stuff like that. If you click again, those arrows change and let you rotate it. So we can rotate it until it is straight. And we're going to use the align tool on this later, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now anyway. Okay, so what we want to do now is we need to adjust the height and we need to cut out the top. So we want the width to be 2 inches. So that's easy. 2 inches. Okay, but we need to change the height. We need to change the height, but we also want the height to be okay. Okay, all right. I'm just thinking here. The notches that we made, which we need, this is going to fit into those notches. The notches that we made are 0.75 inches, right? So I think it would be cool if the triangle was double that, right? So the notch basically fit halfway down into the triangle. So 75 plus 75, man. I think I know the answer, but I don't want to chance it. So we're going to open up our trusty calculator, and we're going to say, what is 0.75 plus 0.75? Think of it like quarters. Oh, did that not work? Come on, calculator, don't make me look that stupid. 0.75 plus, oh, I hit equals, that's why. Oh boy, geez, this is really, I hope my old math teacher doesn't see this. Hooray, $1.50. If you've got 6 quarters, you've got $1.50. You know, I just got nervous and didn't want to have to do it. But then that just made it worse. Okay, so we're going to change our height to $1.50. 1.5 inches. All right. So that's all well and good, but now we still need to cut out our notch. So I think for that we're just going to use another rectangle, And we are going to make this rectangle pretty much match up with the size of our notch. So the size of our notch, if you recall, was 0.75 wide. Nope, 0.75 high. 0.75 high, and it was the width should be 0.14. That's what we are thinking. I hope this works out, but I think this is going to be a little bit of a trial and error. Let's zoom into this guy. So I'm trying to get this lined up directly in the middle, but it kind of is not. It's trying to help me. It's trying to snap back and forth. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to select both of these, and we're going to click this little arrow down here in the corner, and we're going to go to Align and Distribute. So this brings up a whole nother panel of all kinds of ways to align objects together. So I would like to align them to their centers. Boom. So I'm going to click that one. And that pretty much did the whole job for me. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I could drop it down a little bit more. So let's see if we can use the arrow key to just nudge. Oop, we need to select just that shape. Nudge it down just a little bit. We have a line right here. I don't know what that is or where it came from. Oh, okay. It's just a little artifact. It disappeared. And then I am going to just stretch this up a little bit so that we make sure that when we merge these two together, that we're going to get rid of the whole thing. So let's go ahead and merge them together. So we're going to select that one, and we're going to select this one, and we are going to go to Path, and we are going to hit Union. Oh, okay. So here's an interesting little detail. All right, so when you're doing a union like this, whichever shape is the one, it's a little tricky. It's you have to experiment with it to fully get kind of what it does. But sometimes, depending on the mode you have set up, if you select one shape first and select the other shape second, that will affect how the two merge together. So let me try. That may not be the case. It's also which layer is on top. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. So we're gonna I'm trying to say this without being super confusing. So the rectangle, oh, you know what? No, I'm doing this wrong. I'm just straight up doing this wrong. The computer is doing the exact right thing. I'm just doing them wrong. I've been hitting the union button. That's not what we want. We want difference. Boom. Done. Sorry about that. Still learning. Okay, so we've got a pretty good looking triangle with a pretty good looking notch. The one thing that we need to make sure is going to work out is we need to make sure that when we're going to hold these up. Oh, shoot. All right. Undo button is your friend. We can hold these up to each other a little bit and kind of get an idea. So the idea is when this goes together. Okay. I'm glad I looked at this because when these two go together, we want these notches to match up like perfectly. So there is actually a ruler tool here that we could use, and we can measure from this point to, I would like to measure to this point. And it's very small text, which you may not be able to read. I can barely read it. So let's see, what does that say? So that would be 1.3 inches. No, I'm sorry, 0.13 inches. So I think I actually want to shave 0.13 inches off of this notch. I want it to be a little bit shorter. Double check that. Yeah, I think that's what I want. So let's undo our. I have to undo a few of these moves that we made. Here we go. So remember, actually, let's go back here. I wonder. Because I dropped that down, and I think that was a mistake. So let's try this now. Having moved that back up, actually, I want this to be super, super precise. So I'm going to select both of these. We still have the Align and Distribute tab open. So let's try that again. And we've got them centered down the middle really well. But I want to align them to the top as well, which I believe is this one. Okay, so it shifted just ever so slightly, which makes me feel good. All right, so with both of them selected, I'm going to go to Path and Difference. Cut that out. And now I think if we hold these up to each other again, we should hopefully see them fit together pretty darn well. Would you look at that? All right, I am very happy with that. That looks pretty cool. So now I think it's time to go ahead and export these and send them to the 3D printer to be cut out, and we'll see how they all fit together. At that point, it's just going to be a matter of playing with the what do you call it? Whatchamacallit? Playing with the tolerances, the little tiny gaps between each piece, and making sure that it all fits. So the last thing that we need to do is, no, hang on, I just pressed a weird button over here. I want to make sure I didn't mess anything up. Okay, looking good. All right, so the last thing that we need to do is we just need to take this triangle piece and we need to duplicate it. So I'm just going to, once again, select it, edit, and copy, and edit, and paste. And that'll give us a duplicate. All right, so that's looking good. So we've got our notched piece, and we've got 2 cross braces that are ready to be printed. So the other thing that I saw, let's see if I can remember how to duplicate this, is there was a really cool way underneath my face here to arrange everything. There's a really cool way to arrange everything to get it ready to send to the to your, to export it. But I don't remember exactly where that went. Maybe it was here. Nah. Oh, maybe I need to select everything. Sorry. Select everything. No, that wasn't it. I won't spend too much time on this, but it sure was neat. It just kind of snapped everything into and got it all like as close to its all the other shapes as it could without without anything touching. But that's okay. That is quite all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and move these around. Just kind of get them up into the corner. It doesn't really matter because this isn't the page that we are going to be. This isn't the page that we're going to be sending. We're not sending the entire page to the Glowforge. I was thinking it would be neat to flip that, but I'm also thinking that sentence that I just said made me realize I'm going to delete one of these, and we're going to export these kind of one at a time. So let's go File, and we'll do maybe we can export them one at a time, but we'll do Save As, and we'll see what we can get away with. It might be beneficial to separate these out into 2 different files, which would not be difficult. because I'm just thinking when I import them into, well, okay, I'm getting way ahead of myself, so let me just show you what I'm thinking about. Let's go over to the Glowforge interface. So that is, I got that open right here. Oh, and we need to power on the Glowforge. So, hello Glowforge, it's time to wake up. Ooh, it's coming to life. Let me see if we can get you a better view. It's a lot of reflections, but let's see. There's a Glowforge in there. So that clicking noise is the laser warming up, kind of getting ready. I know it's very glary. If we switch back to the screen here, oh, there you go. There's some action. Some Glowforge in action. So right now it's just kind of calibrating. It says on the screen, it's probably too small to read, but on the screen it says it is currently centering. So it is just kind of getting prepared. And eventually that laser will kind of move back. I'm going to move the camera back just a little bit. Trying to center up that shot so you can kind of see what's going on. You can drop this one. Alright, so we are finished now booting up. The Glowforge is ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to go ahead and open it because it's looking for some material. And there's none in the Glowforge, right? So let me back this camera up a little bit. We will drop some in. So we're gonna pop this open. So right here, this is a crumb tray. All this does is just allows excess material to fall through. And it should be kind of in here a little bit more precisely than that. There we go. Now it's locked and loaded. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this last piece of draft board. There is just enough room here. I think over here on the side. Just enough room here to do one last little bit. So we're going to put that in. Just make sure it's flat, not sticking up or anything like that. It doesn't really matter beyond that. This little QR code here in the corner tells there's a camera. Pan up here. There's a camera in the lid right here, and so it will scan the QR code and tell the Glowforge based on this code that this is medium draft board, and then all of the settings will be calibrated for that specific kind of material. So you can put other kind of materials in here. You can put in paper, and you can put in acrylic, like a plastic acrylic, and you can put in regular old cardboard, but some stuff is proof grade, or some stuff is these proof grade materials that you buy from Glowforge are like ready to rock and roll. Okay, so here is an image from the interface, basically showing us what the camera sees. And so now we can import our design and get that ready for placement, and then send the whole thing to the Glowforge to be cut on the laser. All right. So what I was, oh, you know what? Hang on. We got a little we had this thing right here. I didn't want that to be in there. So it's probably going to update the image here in just a second. And then you'll see that is gone from the image. Yay! Okay, good. Alright, so what I was agonizing over earlier and having trouble articulating was if we're going to put the little rectangle here, and then we've got like another two triangle pieces, if I import them now, if I import them all as one, I won't be able to move them individually. So I should export them out of Inkscape as two different files so that I can import them into the Glowforge as two different files and move them to two different places. Actually, three different places if you want to get nuts. So, before we bring it in over here, we need to go back to Inkscape, and we need to export one at a time. So I'm not confident that I know how to export Okay. Yeah, I'm not confident that I know how to export things like independently. So, because like in Tinkercad, you can do that, where you can just export one shape from a whole design. I don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to open up a brand new file, and I'm going to paste in the one that we just made. And then I'm just going to save that as, what's important is to save it as an SVG file, and we're going to call this cross brace. Cross brace. We'll save that to the desktop with the other stuff, and so we're good there. Well, we'll leave that open because we might have to come back if we need to make some adjustments. Might have to come back. The other thing we need to do is camera hitching up. Everybody cool? Okay. The other thing we need to do is export this one. So we're gonna do save as, and we're gonna call this one rectangle notched, which is going to ask us if we want to save it over the other one that we already made, and I'm going to say yes. Replace. Alright, so with the two files saved, we can go back to Glowforge, and we can upload those files. So I'm going to go right up here to upload, and we'll do the cross brace first. Alright, good deal. So the approximate size looks pretty good. If you look at the on-screen rulers, it's about 2 inches wide, so that's great. And we want two of these, so let's see if we can't duplicate it. See if we can't just right-click, or nope, nope, nope. Might have to import it twice. I thought there was an easy way to duplicate the design. I thought. But it appears I was wrong. That's okay. No problem. This might not be the most efficient way to do this, but we'll just import it again. So now we got two. And we'll just drop that one down. I think actually I'm going to rotate them like this, so that they both kind of fit together. So that's the one thing I really respect about the Glowforge, is the ability to kind of use every inch of material that we put in here. I can kind of change this, move it around to make sure, I can place it on this used material and really kind of use every inch of that material. So alright, let's bring in our rectangle. Our big old rectangle should come in, and we can put that over here. Turn it this way, and we'll set it here, and it's going to go right over the QR code, and it's going to burn right over that QR code, and that's okay, because we're going to peel that off as soon as it's finished. So we got notches, we've got, yep, let's see how it goes. Okay, so what's going to happen now, I'm going to hit print, and it is basically going to crunch all the numbers and get ready to Hello. It's going to crunch all the numbers and get ready to send that over. I will get the camera set up in position here so that you can see what's happening. Right now it's just kind of passing over the design a little bit to kind of see what's going on, scanning it and stuff, calibrating, getting it into position. I think that angle right there is probably going to be good. Alright, so this is going to be a pretty quick cut. This says on the screen it's going to take about 30 seconds, so pretty quick. And I am going to cut the mic. Oh, I have to turn on, so two things. I have to turn on the filtration unit, which is really loud, so I am going to cut the microphone when I do that. And then we're going to hit the start button and we're going to watch it print. So, but it should only take about 30 seconds with a little bit of cool down afterward. So enjoy this silent Glowforge movie that you're about to watch. Okay, here we go. Right, muting the mic. Okay, did you notice my mistake? So I did not notice when I set up the job originally. Let's take a look at the screen here. I did not notice when I set up the job originally that this notch was too far outside, and so it turned gray, which was telling me that it wasn't going to cut it because it wasn't properly placed on the material. So after I realized that this one cut but this one didn't, I noticed the mistake and I moved it until it turned red like that. I then went in here and told it to ignore the first two shapes because we already cut those out. Those are fine. So ignore those and just cut this one. So then we did it again and we cut it. And so now let's check out. Let's see how we did. So what we want. Oh boy. What I want is to be able to get a preview of this window. Okay, here we go. I gotta move this camera back a little bit so I can open the lid. Alright. So, open the lid. Now it's a little stinky, you can't tell at home, but it does definitely smell like burnt material. Open this up. So now none of this stuff is hot. A lot of people ask me if it's hot. It's not. Pop this out, hopefully. Pop all this out. Okay, so we got our draft board. We still have a little bit of material left on our draft board if we have a small design we want to make. But I will have to take that as a lesson that if you can't push things too far over to the edges of some of this stuff because then it won't oh, there's still some smoke. Hope my smoke detector doesn't go off. Okay, so I'm just setting up this other here we go. So this is our old piece that I pulled out. Don't worry about that. Let me move my... So this was the first piece that we made. This is the new piece that we made with the notches. And here is our cross brace. So now there is a thin layer of tape on these, but I am mostly just curious to see if they fit. Oh boy, they fit, man. They fit real well. So let's... Ha ha ha! Not too shabby, you guys. We did it. Alright, so let's see. I got my drawer here. It's heavy, so I'm trying not to drop it. I'm going to move this out of the way. Now the cross braces just fall off like that because they are going to be held in place by the sides of the drawer, theoretically. So let's see how that works. So we should be able to put a cross brace on the side and a cross brace on the side and then drop this right in between the two. Oh no, you guys, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Maybe if I angle it. Oh, yeah, you know what? If I angle it in there, if I come in this way, it does fit. So I could probably make this work. Oh boy. Okay, alright. Oh, now that is, okay. That is a precisely cut piece of laser craftsmanship, if I do say so myself. I'm into that. That's really cool. So you can see, let me frame this up a little better. So this thing is not moving. It is angled in there. Is it straight? I can't tell. I don't have as good an angle on it as you do. I want to stand up and look at it from the top down. Let's examine our handiwork here. I can't tell if it's straight. Oh yeah, it's pretty straight. So you can kind of angle it. So the cross braces prevent it from falling forward and falling backwards. So that's great. There isn't anything preventing it from twisting this way, though. Other than the fact that it's just, like, so wide. So this thing could get banged on as you're, like, putting things in the drawer and slamming the drawer closed and stuff. Not that we do that, but... so that could be an issue. But otherwise, it's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So if I was going to make an adjustment, which I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to make any adjustments, if I was going to, it would be to make it, geez, I don't know, like a 1/10 of an inch smaller. I'm going to close this Glowforge. It's kind of loud. There we go. So yeah, that could be one way to edit it, but okay. All right, you convinced me. We're going to make a change. How much time do we have? All right, let's do it. Throw caution to the wind. Let's do it. Let's go back to our page here. Before I make any changes, I do want to just kind of go over this one last time, because so it fits really, really well. I'm just turning it a little bit for you to be able to see it. It fits super well. The notches are I'm sorry. I need to go full screen for this. The notches are top notch. Okay. So no, but look at that. Look at how well that fits. Oh boy. And it's a little bit difficult to, yeah. And like they're like completely flush, like my thumb can go right over it and it feels really good. Same with the bottom, like that feels very flush. So we did a good job there. That's real nice. So yeah. That's pretty cool. So I'm just trying to think, if we do go back in here and adjust this, what do we want to adjust it for? It would be nice for it to be ever so slightly thinner. But I'm worried that if we go too thin, like this guy, remember how wiggly that one was? Let's see. What happens if we put this? Now, obviously this doesn't fit because it doesn't go all the way down. But we could use this. We can use this as a test to see, like, all right, if we change this, what are we in for? Okay. So it might. So okay. So if we change this and we go too thin, then it might slide back and forth like this, which we don't want that either. So maybe we do want the snugness. Maybe we keep it that way. And if we're gonna reduce this, so this is exactly 10 inches. So I could see going to like 9.9, 9.09 maybe. Could be good. Because it won't drop in this way. It has to turn and then be turned. So we could drop that. So let's go back in here. Let's edit. I want to do some interesting stuff. Wait. Okay. A couple things we're going to try here. We're going to just edit the width. We had, I don't know why, but we have 10.010. Not 100% sure where the extra came from. So part of me thinks maybe we drop that down to 10.0, but 0.1 of an inch, that's not much of anything, right? So maybe we do drop that to, 9. What would that look like if we drop that to 9 point? 9, 9. Not much of a change. Thinking real hard here. I'm thinking real hard. To go from 10 point, what was it? 10.01 to 9. All right, we're doing it. 9.999. How about it? 9.999. Okay, and then the other thing, you want to get fancy, so we could do some cool stuff. One thing that I learned how to do is you can click on this path editor. So remember at the very, very top, we were talking about how vector images use paths. So you can edit those paths. And so when you click on this node tool, you get to play with the nodes of the path. The nodes are like where changes happen. So these corners all have nodes. And you can just like grab these and move them around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. You can also just click in the middle of a straight line and bend it, which is crazy. Totally super cool. And you know, you can use these curve editors to kind of give it a more subtle curve, whatever you're feeling. So I was thinking it might be cool if this drawer divider had a little bit of a curve to it. That's what I was thinking. So, oops. I was hoping for more of like a, you know what we need to do? We need to put a node like right here. And then just bend it down. Or maybe a node here. Hold on, hold on. Put a node here. And a node here. And then bend it like that. And then give it a little... Yeah! I like that. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, you can really get kind of fancy. That's not what I want, but you get the idea. So that's cool. And then also, if you were so inclined, you could write something on here. So if this was going to be the spoon drawer, I could write spoons. And I could make this bigger. This is just using the text tool over here on the left, and very much like Photoshop, where you've got fonts to choose from. You can change the size. And then the Glowforge would be able to basically etch that, burn that instead of cutting it. Or you could also cut it. So that's cool too. I don't think that, well, number one, we're not putting spoons in this drawer. And number two, I don't really know. I don't want to do. I don't think I want to do writing. Or if I did, like, I'd want to think about it more and maybe choose a cool font or something. How about this? How about instead of a font or words, we put a star there. Chicago star. I'm okay with that. Let's straighten it up. I know we're going long. Shrink it down. Remember the rule of resizing. Hold down the control button to give yourself more control. Alright, and then let's duplicate it, copy, and paste, and we'll slide it over here. And then here's what I want to do. I want to line these up so that they are, let's use that align and distribute tool. We're going to do, we want them to be aligned at their centers. Aligned at their horizontal centers. So, oops, sorry, you can't see that. So we are looking for tiny little icon. Oh, that's distribute. That's not what we want. We want aligned at the horizontal centers. Boom, like that. And then distribute the space between them evenly. I think that should do it. Just about. What do you say we just, we're just gonna push it all the way over to the edge and then bring it back in 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be about equal. Okay. And then, let's do this. Let's do, let's throw a fill on there. Now remember, the Glowforge can't do color, so we're just gonna say fill, with black. Or maybe a 55. Never done this, so we'll see how it goes. Cool. Alright, good deal. We match. We got a little dip in the middle. We got some stars on there, and we adjusted the width. So let's export it and send it to the Glowforge. So we're going to call this one Star Dip. I mean, you can see why I call it Star Dip, right? Okay, so once again, we need to load up the Glowforge with some material. Now this one is going to be, different. Oh, so I don't know that we can fit. Yeah, we definitely. I think we're going to need to get a fresh piece. All right, so we'll get a fresh piece in here. It's all looking good. And we'll let it kind of scan up. It's going to probably move around a little bit. So, there we go. Let's go back to the screen. So, we already cut out all these designs. We could delete them. We totally could just delete them. I'm just going to tell it to ignore them. And then I'm going to go import our new design, the Star Dip. And we'll throw that in here someplace. Someplace. I feel like, alright. I feel like I should be able to see the top of the material. I'm just going to try to scooch this down a little bit. Let it update after I open the lid. It'll take just a second. It says scanning up there in the corner, you see. Okay, so now, I mean, that didn't really make much of a difference at all. But remember, we see our design here. We want it to be red, so So for each element in our design, that shows up over here. So you see our stars are different, and our, 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 our divider with the dip is different. So we're going to click on that, and we want to make sure that that's going to cut. All right, so the proof grade didn't scan. See how we're getting a unknown material type up here in the corner? So let's go here, and we're going to refresh the bed image. Scan again. Sometimes, just like taking a QR code with your phone, sometimes it scans, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll try it again. Not really sure why it's doing that. I'm going to set the focus. So we got a little action over here as it's focusing in on its material. Sometimes just opening up the lid, closing the lid is enough to get that QR code to scan properly. So we'll give that a shot in just a second. It is currently trying to focus in on the image, so let's see. Okay, still giving me the unknown message. So I gotta scooch this camera back just a little bit so I can open the lid. We'll just give it a second. We'll pop up here and just make sure everything's cool. Maybe I messed something up by shifting it earlier. Let it scan. And there we go. Now we have positive recognition on that QR code. So now everything is looking good. QR code is recognized. Glowforge knows what's going on. So let's take a closer look at the screen here. Nope, that's the drawer. And that's also the drawer. So that's fine. Okay, hi. Alright. Sorry, I'm wasting time here. Alright, we want to make sure that... so right now, the way things are set up, it is going to cut everything. So it's going to cut out our notch, which is good. That's what we want. But it's also going to cut out our stars, which is not what I wanted. So for that, we're going to click on the layer here, the star layer, and we've got options up here: engrave, score, cut, or ignore. So we are going to I'd like to just score them, and then we have some more options here where we can basically tell it how much power to use. So I was hoping that by using the fill, they would go solid, but I'm not seeing that. So I think it's just going to score an outline, which is a bummer. If I do, okay, let's do engrave. Let's do that instead. So, okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Engrave. Yeah, cool. Okay, looking good to me. And these are all set to be ignored, so let's go ahead and send that up, ready to print. Oh, we got action. I gotta turn on the filtration unit. I'm gonna mute the mic again when that happens, so just be ready. I think it's gonna be all the action's mostly gonna be up in that top corner this time around. Hopefully we'll have a good view of that. And I'm going to go turn on the filtration unit and get everything ready. I'm not sure how long this one's going to take. You'll see the timer on the screen change. Okay, that was a little bit of a long one, huh? It took a while to do those stars, so let's check it out and see how we did. All right, so we're gonna open it up. Ooh, big old puff of smoke. All right. I'm just gonna throw that back in there. I'll clean it up later. But we'll keep that lid closed to minimize the smelliness. You can see on the screen it's, well, alright. So let's take a look. Overhead cam go. So, here you have it. So this actually is a proper engrave. So there's a little bit of depth and dimension there. I don't know how well that plays on camera. But here's the moment of truth. So we've got the cross braces that we already made. And I'm just going to go ahead and peel this off. Should have started from this corner. Let's go ahead and peel this off. Come on. Go ahead and peel this off. This is basically just masking tape, and it just protects the material from getting a little singed from the heat. Comes off pretty easily once you can actually get a straight run. The back should be even easier because there's no design. Alright, so get that tape out of the way, because that does affect the thickness just ever so slightly, and I want to see how this goes. So we're gonna try out our cross braces here. Those still fit really, really well. And now let's see if we can drop this bad boy in. Well, that fits pretty well. That fits pretty well. It does slide back and forth like we were kind of afraid it might. But it fits pretty well and it doesn't tip over. So that's not bad. I would say we could call that a success. Here, let me turn it a little bit so you can see what it looks like from the top. But yeah, so we have our drawer divider. We did it. I would say mission accomplished, right? And this has been a pretty long episode, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I did want to mention a couple of things quickly, though. Let me, I'll get them up on the screen first. If you're interested in learning more about Inkscape, because Inkscape is just such a powerful tool for basically all this kind of 3D, all this laser cutter stuff, all this laser cutter business. Hang on, I gotta mute the sound on here. I'm going to send you over to this YouTube video. Where are you? Where are you? I found it, but I found episode 2, and I want episode 1 of this video, so give me one sec. Anyway, Inkscape, very complicated, very, but very powerful, very cool tool. And so I am still just barely hitting the surface of this thing. So there is a company out there called Death Ray Designs, and they make wargaming. I think they make a lot of stuff. I don't really know exactly what they do because I found them looking for stuff on Inkscape. And most of the stuff that I picked up in a very short amount of time was from them. So let's switch over here. So their first episode that they did this 7 years ago in 2014. So they were way ahead of the game. But Learning Inkscape, episode 1, introduction, and, or I don't know, it's uploaded to this channel, Death Ray Designs, but they call themselves Brush for Hire. So I'm not really sure. I can't vouch for them beyond that at all. I don't know. All I know is that they laser cut things, and they know Inkscape really well. And so this guy Austin did a series. I just watched the first 2 episodes, and in those first 2 episodes, I basically picked up what I needed to do, what I needed to learn to do this project, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. But all things being equal, so yeah, definitely check them out on YouTube, and if you want to learn more about Inkscape. If you want to make your own project, if you've already learned all there is to learn about Inkscape, and you want to make something using the Glowforge, I would say send me an email at PNG. Where are you? PNG at elmwoodparklibrary.org. Right here on the webpage, elmwoodparklibrary.org/PNG. Send me an email. I'll cut your stuff out. We've got lots of draft board and acrylic, and if you want to do some kind of custom material, just let me know. We'll talk. If you made some drawer dividers, I'll cut your drawer dividers out for you. So definitely think about that. Learn how to use Inkscape so you can cut stuff out. That's pretty much it. So let's wrap it up. We have been Project Next Generation Online. I'd like to thank the State Library of Illinois for making the grant possible that provides all of our cool equipment. And I'd like to thank the Elmwood Park Public Library for making it happen. And of course, there's the Library Services and Technology Act. That's where the money comes from. And the Institute of Museum and Library Services. That's who sends out the checks. That's probably not true. That's a gross oversimplification, but I'd like to thank all those people. And I'd like to thank you for watching. Thanks again for tuning in to Project Next Generation Online. I will see you again real soon. All right. Have a good one. Have a good one? I don't know.